Serving today's community. Preparing for tomorrow's opportunities. Here's what's in the works.
On Saturday, October 4th, Kent's Russell Road Park got a new name in honor of former Mayor Isabel Hogan. After 16 years of trying to get the park named for his former boss, Alex Jones' hard work finally paid off. Hogan served as Kent's mayor from 1970 to 1986. She is Kent's first female mayor and known for her impact on city parks and the arts.
Well, thank you, everybody, for coming and being here today. This is really going to be a fun morning, a special day. Mayor Hogan, thank you for being here. Friends, families, colleagues. I'm Jeff Watling, Director of Parks, Recreation, and Community Services here with the City of Kent, and so excited to celebrate and to honor Mayor Hogan and what she has meant to this community, what she continues to mean to this community in terms of some of the facilities, the parks, the public spaces that our community so enjoys. As we worked through this, it's been a while coming. It has. But we're here, and we cannot think of a better park than to have your name on it, Mayor Hogan. So we thought, as a program, wouldn't it be fun to take a little walk down memory lane, have some people come and share a few words, celebrate. As the event is happening, when we're done, I'm sure you're going to want to hang around and talk. We have some cards that we would love to have everyone sign, jot down a congrats and a memory. Those will be going to Mayor Hogan. We'll be putting those in a package. Make sure you get a button. I understand, Mayor, these were sort of knockoffs from campaign buttons. I'm a Hogan hero, so well done, well played. Without further ado, I'm going to invite Marvin Elkfeld to come up and to give an invocation and share a few words.
Those of you who are seated, let's remain seated. And those of you who are standing, let's all join together in a moment of silence and a word of prayer. Will you join me, please? In the crispness of this fall morning, Creator God, we gather to acknowledge the rich beauty of this valley and the many parks and open spaces preserved throughout our Kent community. We are encouraged to be stewards of this rich legacy. We know that thousands of children, youth, and adults of all ages in a beautiful rainbow of diversity enjoy hours of recreation and leisure each day in these open spaces. We pause this morning to give special thanks for the visionary leadership of Isabel Hogan, for her courage to live out a deep commitment to parks, recreation, and the arts, for the inspiration she called forth from others to secure land and to find resources to develop our many outdoor spaces and programs, for her commitment to a quality of life for the Kent community that has served us all well through these years and provides a strong foundation into our future. So it is with joy and thanksgiving that we dedicate these 30 acres today and name them Hogan Park at Russell Road. In your name, Shalom, Salam, and Amen.
Thank you, Marvin. It's great. Before we get going, I want to thank and recognize some of city leadership who were so supportive as we work through this process and this recommendation. So our Mayor, Suzette Cook, is here. Mayor, sharing a few words later. City Council members, Les Thomas, Debbie Raniger, Councilmember Brenda Fincher, there's Brenda, Council President Dana Ralph, Did I get everyone? I think I got everyone. Anyways, thank you. Thank you very much. So we thought it would be fun to ask a couple of people to come up and share a few words as they got to work with Isabel through the years. And first up, I'd like to invite Mike Wiebe. Webby. And Webby. Okay. Mike, I apologize. Good to see you.
Well, good morning, everybody. Madam Mayor, I would just like to say a few words, and I know Mayor Hogan, if she were asked, would say, please make it very few, Mike. So, anyway, what a nice day. Can you imagine the 4th of October? And we're out here in shirt sleeves in this gorgeous park. I think you must have had something to do with this today. In any event, what a lovely day. I'm absolutely thrilled to be here. I just love the chance to participate. And I have to go to my room now. What a great idea. Mayor Cook and members of the council, what a great thing you've done. I can't think of a more deserving person than Mayor Hogan. And you guys are pretty darn smart for doing this. So congratulations. I spent over 20 years working for the city. It was a great time in my career. And the best part of those were the 16 years that I worked for Mayor Hogan. It was a great time. Her leadership was absolutely stunning. And the city council at the time, and she teamed to, I think, to make these visions come true. She had a pretty good park director, too. And he had a few ideas. And look at all this. I mean, it's hard to think of anywhere else that's got a system that even comes close to this. So, and good for you guys to keep it going. So, I wanted to say just a couple of things that are a little more personal. You know, the staff absolutely loved working with Mayor Hogan and for her. And you know, you look out here, you can see what was accomplished. And it wasn't accomplished just because we had the ideas and the resources. It was accomplished because the people pulled it off. They understood her vision and they accepted it. And while there were challenges, it didn't matter. Look what was accomplished. And I had the good fortune of having an office nearby the mayor's. And there were some women that worked in the office when I did. Terry Schuhart worked for the mayor and the council, and Dick Cushing, who was a great city administrator, by the way. And Sue Veseth, who later became the administrator of the Human Resources Department. A woman named Peggy Powell, who also worked in our group, and Linda Birdsall, who still is with the city. Anyway, those four women and I worked just outside the mayor's doors. And we worked hard, and we loved it. And we had a good time doing it. Sometimes, such a good time, that we would hear those golden words. And I knew I was in the group, because she would say, "Now, girls." And then, when I knew she really cared about me, she would say, "Michael, go to your room." And I did. So, One other thing I'd like to share, personal in nature, is that, Mayor, you were a true leader. I recall the time I was standing on the first floor of City Hall, getting ready to get on the elevator to go up to the third floor, and Mayor Hogan walked by and spotted me. And she said something like, "Michael, I'm a little bit older than you, and I take the stairs." Well, I'll tell you what. I'm saving a couple of things that I will. But in any event, I never, ever took the elevator again if I thought she was in the building. So with that, I would say one other thing.
Thank God.
We rehearsed that. One other thing. How many other cities really ever had a mayor who drove a Corvette to work? Now, I learned a lot from Mayor Hogan. I have a red one. So thank you all, Mayor Hogan, thank you.
Thanks, Mike. Thank you, Mike. All right. One more city leader I'd like to recognize. Derek Matheson, our newly appointed city administrator, is here. Thank you, Derek. Another person we'd love to have come up and share a few words. You mentioned the former Parks Director. I'd like to invite up Barney Wilson. Come on up, Barney.
How come Webby got to go before me?
Sorry.
Yeah, bad. I made a special effort to be here today, because usually this time of day I'm still in bed, but the effort was because Mother Mayor, I know she's number one, but I was her favorite employee. That's the truth. I'm just kidding. I see many in attendance today that think they held that position. Jerry Winkle, Mike Wiebe. Excuse me, Mike. I mean, Mike Webby. Jamie Parsons in here today, but he would believe that. Helen Wickstrom, who's here today. Nancy Leahy, who worked with the Arts Commission. Or maybe Lori Hogan, her daughter-in-law.
I'm the favorite.
Probably Bill Stevens would say he's a favorite too. Bill and I used to make campaign signs for her in the city maintenance shop. That's been 7 years. Maybe I'm not her favorite, but in my book she's number one. And when I think of what she's accomplished, and we've talked about that, for the city of Kent, it's almost unbelievable. Mayor Hogan was my boss as well as my friend. She actually protected me from city administrators, city council, and city attorneys. She protected. City administrators like Joe Street and Mr. Cushing and Brent McFall. Joe Street was a fair and honest man, but he was too conservative for a growing city like Kent. He would make Bill O'Reilly seem like a liberal. When I was in need of a city car, after 20 years probably, Joe wanted me to get a dull blue or a dull green car where people wouldn't notice. And of course, I wanted a shiny car with a city emblem where people would know I'm a city employee, especially when I did my circles for the evening programs. Well, Mayor Hogan got involved, and I ended up with a white Ford station wagon, shiny, with a city emblem on the side. And thanks to Jack Meredith and Bowen Scarf, they helped with that. And the car had number 1 on the door. Let me tell you, I don't know how it got there, but it was. And like Mike said, when time for Mayor Hogan to get a car, there was no questions asked. She got a white Dodge Charger. And of course, her private car was a Chevy Corvette. I got to drive the Dodge Charger a couple of times, but never her Corvette. She was confident and aggressive and proud of the city of Kent. Projects like Russell Road Park, now Hogan Park, would never have been here without her. Other projects that she aided and supported: Lake Fenwick Park, Riverbend Golf Course, Kent Commons Playfield, now Showware, Scenic Hill Park, Earthworks Park, and many other projects like street trees and the trails that we have here in Kent that makes Kent a better place to live. I would like to thank Kent for the invitation today, and congratulations, Mayor Hogan.
I keep grabbing the wrong one. Barney, thanks. Appreciate it. Next, former City Council member Tim Leahy. Tim.
Barney didn't know I was talking, so we'll... First of all, I really need to say it's great to see so many faces from the past. You know, some of you have gotten a little grayer, but you all look great, and it's really fun to see you all again. After thinking quite a bit about what I wanted to say today, I really wanted to start with a quote. And the quote goes like this: "Being powerful is like being a lady. If you have to tell people you are, then you aren't." Does anybody know who said that? Actually, it was Margaret Thatcher. It was Margaret Thatcher. But I think it could just as easily have been Mayor Hogan. Because as mayor of Kent from 1970 through 1986, there was never any doubt that she was both very much a lady and very powerful. And when I use the word powerful, what I really mean is, I don't mean the hard-handed kind of power. I mean the kind of power that somebody can articulate a vision for a better Kent and then roll up her sleeves and work with others to make it happen. And I think that's exactly what Isabel Hogan did as mayor of Kent. I've thought some about why Mayor Hogan was such a special, respected, popular, influential leader in Kent. And here's what I've come up with. Let me test my theories against your recollections as well. One of my very favorite sayings is, if you don't push it, it won't move. And Isabel knew how to move things. Usually in a very gentle way, but sometimes not so gentle. She did what it took. And you know, there are lots of different kinds of power in every kind of setting, in business, in government at all levels, in the military. People rely on personal power to get things done. Some rely on what you might call positional power. Some draw on the fact that they're the boss, they give the orders, they control your future, and by golly, you're going to do what they tell you to do. Some rely on what you might call transactional power. It goes like this, you know, I'm in a position to make some things happen. I'm willing to do this for you if you'll do this for me. But a special few of the most successful leaders rely on a kind of power that is based far more on underlying respect, far more on underlying influence than on any sort of a formal authority. And those are the kinds of leaders who get things done because people way down deep believe that those leaders are made of the right stuff and that they'll do the right things for the right reasons at the right times. Mayor Hogan had that kind of power, and Mayor Hogan was that kind of leader. Really a special person in the developing town of Kent. Her power, and maybe I'll use the word influence because I think it's really a better word, was based entirely on trust and confidence. The people of Kent, the Kent City staff, other elected officials she worked with never doubted Mayor Hogan's integrity or her resolve to do what was right for the city of Kent. And with her, it was always a clear case of what you see is what you get. With her, there were no hidden agendas. There was no quid pro quo. There was no posturing or spin to try to hog the credit or deflect the blame. There was no thinking about building her own resume or thinking about securing the backing of some interest group or some political organization. It all came out of a sense of her obligation, responsibility to the city of Kent. I'm guessing she never lost any sleep worrying about re-election. And not only did she not engage in those kinds of silliness, but she had no patience for those who did. Mayor Hogan had, and I really must say still has, because I've been privileged to be close to the Hogan family for more than 30 years now, still has a style all her own. She said what she meant, and she meant what she said. Sometimes she didn't feel the need to talk at all unless she had something of real substance to add. And so when she did talk, by golly, people listened. People really listened. She was classy and dignified, but never overbearing. She was confident, but never arrogant. Plain-spoken, but never rude. She was independent, but never divisive. She took her role and her responsibilities seriously, but never came across as self-important. A remarkable kind of a balance in a leader. Most of all, she had strong feelings about what was right for Kent and worked every day to make good things happen here. In her role as mayor, Mrs. Hogan brought a kind of a no-nonsense, practical, common-sense approach to getting things done. She understood the role of a mayor in Kent City system of city government, and she focused on big-picture issues that would make a real, deep, lasting impact on this community. And others have already talked about what some of those impacts have been. I've known Mayor Hogan for a long time now, and to this day, I have no idea what her personal politics are, which I think of as a really good thing. I do know for sure that politics as such never entered into her mind while she served as mayor. In fact, I don't think she ever thought of herself as any kind of a politician, or even as an important public figure. She thought of herself as a kind of a caretaker who had been entrusted with Kent to look after it and to help prepare it for its future. In fact, many of us in the community called her Mother Mayor, and I think that was a perfect title for the way she approached her job. It said everything about her approach, and it was a duty that she took to heart in all of its meaning for 16 years. People trusted Mayor Hogan and knew that she had their interests at heart. As I look around here this morning, I have to say that as capable and effective a leader as Mayor Hogan was, she did have the real advantage of some top-notch professional city staff. And it's great to see all of you here today. I hope that for those of you who were on the staff at the time when Mayor Hogan was mayor, and those of you who are here today, I hope you'll recognize that the gratitude that's being expressed for her in part goes to you as well. Mayor Hogan always did her homework. She cared deeply about all aspects of city government, but especially close to her heart were parks, recreation, open space, cultural arts. She knew all these things were essential to any good city. She never thought of these things as extras or fluff. She understood that if those elements of a great city were to be there for future generations, they had to be established and protected while she was mayor. So she invested extra passion in making those things happen. Mayor Hogan is maybe the biggest sports fan I know. She's always had a special fondness for youth sports. This park at Russell Road is used for a lot of youth sports as well as for adult sports, and many other community functions, including the annual Christmas Rush. I'm told it's even going to be used either this weekend or next weekend for some kind of a community recycling event. So it's used for a lot of important purposes. In addition, I know it serves as a main access point for the Green River Trail, which was started during her time in office. And so this seems to me to be a perfect spot to recognize her contributions to the city of Kent and to express our appreciation. I'll just mention on a personal note that I was a kid in high school when Mayor Hogan took office in 1970, and I had the opportunity to serve on the city council under her leadership during her last term in office. And it was an educational experience and a wonderful one, and I've really been happy to be close to the Hogan family for more than 30 years now. Thanks to all of you for listening. Thanks very much for being here today, and let's all express our gratitude to Mayor Hogan one more time.
Tim, thank you. Very wise words. Next, I would like to invite up our City Council member and Parks Committee Chair, Debbie Raniger. Come on up and share a few words. Thanks, Debbie.
Thank you. Mayor Hogan, you and I did not cross paths in terms of my tenure here at the city and your tenure as mayor, but you influenced me before I even came to the city of Kent. I was a landscape architecture student at the University of Washington when I first heard about Earthworks Park. And that put Kent on the map for me and introduced me to you from afar. And I became aware of the great work that Kent was doing with respect to parks and open space. And it was that inspiration and the work that you did as mayor that ultimately brought me to Kent. And so in addition to the long legacy that you have left for the city of Kent, I feel that I also need to add that you have influenced many women, not just me, in terms of the leadership that you provided and the role model that you set for women, that women can make a difference. And so I, as Parks, Chair of the Parks and Human Services Committee, feel really thrilled to have been able to assume that role and do what my small part in making a difference here in the city of Kent. Today, we are so blessed to be able to honor you and rename this park. We've been working on it for quite a while. Naming a park is no easy task, but I am thrilled that we have been able to do that, and it is very much my pleasure to be part of this celebration today to honor you and your legacy. Thank you very much. As part of the renaming of the park, we will be installing this beautiful bronze plaque that not only identifies you as the mayor, but says a little bit about you and the influence and the value that you placed on parks and open space in the city. And where's that going to go?
Concession stand.
It will be on the concession stand, so everybody will see it because everybody always goes to the concession stand.
With the food, yes.
In honor of Isabel K. Hogan, Mayor of Kent, 1970 to 1986, a champion of parks, recreation, and the arts, and a leader providing public amenities that would make Kent a more beautiful place to live. Nature surrounds us, from parks and backyards to streets and alleyways. Next time you go out for a walk, tread gently and remember that we are both inhabitants and stewards of nature in our community. adapted from a quote by David Suzuki.
Debbie, thank you. Before I call up the mayor, just real quickly, with brevity, because I know you appreciate brevity, on a personal note, as a kid who grew up in Kent Ridge High grad, one who enjoyed Parks and Recreation through the 70s, thank you. Thank you for your work. Thank you for the system that's been created. And now to think, as Parks Director, I'm daily humbled to know that I'm holding the baton and stewarding something that is so important to this community now and for future generations. The literally millions that have enjoyed Russell Road Park, there will be millions after that will be enjoying Hogan Park at Russell Road. So thank you. Mayor Cook. And Alex Jones.
Mayor Hogan, you have been my model, my idol for years. You used to intimidate the heck out of me because you were very business oriented, but then I caught the sense of humor that you had as well and the values that you hold so dearly. And they showed through the employees. And one of your employees planted this seed many years ago to recognize you and what you have contributed to this community. So before I have any more remarks, it is only appropriate that the man behind the scenes to make this public scene possible say a few words. Alex Jones.
Thank you, Mayor Cooks. You know, I don't know what to say.
You've already said it many times.
Yeah, I don't know what to say. Tim Lee, he took my speech. Barney Wilson took my speech. And Mike Wells, they done said everything that I was going to say. But they left out a few things. You know, when I started work for the city of Kent back in 1970, Ms. Hogan was mayor. And matter of fact, I don't think I would have been employed by the city of Kent if she wouldn't have been mayor, because I contacted her first for a job. And then she transferred me over to a guy by the name of Barney Wilson. And boy, that was a work of art to deal with him. But let me get on. Ms. Hogan was a person. She was a people person. She was the mayor, but if you didn't know that she was the mayor, no way you would have understood who she was. When we'd be out working, she'd come up and she would ask us what we were doing and why we was doing it. And we explained it to her, but we had to do our job. And she knew every one of us by name. And she took care of us. And she made sure we did what we was doing, being safety. She made sure of that. But they was talking about the cars that she drove, but they left one car out. A 67 Wildcat Brown Buick. That's what she was driving. A guy worked for the city by the name of Ed Olson. I'm going to tell you something Ed did. See, you didn't know that. I'm going to tell you what he did. Back in then, we didn't have radios in the truck where we could radio to each one if we need them. Well, when Miss Hogan making her round riding, Ed was a city traffic engineer. He would come by and tell us, hey, you better get going, Mom is coming. He was telling us when you, he would let us know. And that's how we knew when you was coming. Ed would tell us. And we used to go over in this place here, it used to be an old treatment plant. We said, we'll go over there and hide, she won't find us. We look up here, come that old brown beard around the corner. She knew where we was at all times. Now, I'll tell you something she told me, and I remember that today, and when I die, I'm going to remember it. I was down at Kent Memorial Park. We were going to have a ball game that night. And it had rain. Water was all over the field. She come by and she said, well, the game is 7 o'clock. I said, ma'am, we're not going to make it. We can't do it. When I said can't, her hair stood up on her head. She said, I'll be back tonight to the ball game. You the expert, find a way to get it done. We did. We got the water off the field and got everything done. And she come back, she said, I knew you could do it. You was a good expert. You got good employees. From that on, that let me know that she was concerned about it. I don't care what it was. We do it. We get it done. If we was on our off time, we was in the city and we see something need to be done, we took care of it. We didn't take care of it because of Barney. We took care of it because of Ms. Hogan, but Barney thought we were taking care of it because of him. No. No. But anyway, Ms. Hogan, I'm so glad to see you.
I'm glad to see you.
And I've been working on this for a long time. And sometimes I just gave up. I did. Sometimes I gave up. Councilman Dana Rath told me, don't give up, Alex. Just stay in there. Hang in there. We're going to get it. Jeff quit returning my phone calls. He quit returning my phone calls. I said, well, I know I'll make another step. So I started on the mayor we got now, Mayor Cooks. I told her, I said, if we don't get this done this year, I'm going to get a petition. I'm going to knock on every door in Kent. And I'm going to tell the people what I'm done. She deserved this. But a week later, she called me up and said, well, Jeff said we're going to do this in October. It's a done deal. You know what she told me. She didn't want me to do that. I know that. I never could catch up with Councilman Thomas because he knew I was going to be griping about this and he didn't want to hear it. I conned Councilman Rafferty to get on board. And Councilman Dennis Higgins, I don't know if he's here or not. No. So I conned him in to get on board. And all the whole, I got Brad, what's his name? Bell. Got Brad involved. So we got it done. You know, I'm not satisfied. It seemed like, to me, we ought to put the name on something else. Well, look, the city hall coming under her. The city hall they was in when she got elected looked like an outhouse. That's what it looked like. The road that go around over there. You can go on and on and on and on. Tim and all of them left that stuff out, but, you know, I had to put that in there. So I got to tell you, do you remember Jim Darrow? He fixed your car. He painted your car. Yes. Well, he lives in Arkansas. He retired from here and he bought a ranch in Arkansas. That's where he lived. He told me to tell you that he wants you to come down and visit him on his ranch and go catfish with him. He's got a catfish fund. He told me to tell you that he wanted to be here, but he had to babysit his grandkids. He's taking care of his grandkids, and he just couldn't make it. So make sure I tell you about that. Thank you. Thank you.
You did have to put up with a lot. So did they. Well, Mayor Hogan, when I talked to some of the business folks around who were in business while you were mayor, they loved you or they hated you because you were tough. You knew what was going to be best for Kent in the long term. And they honored you for that because you added value, but they knew what they were getting. As Tim said, you said what you meant. You didn't beat around the bush, but you had an elegance about you. And the big disappointment I have today is, where's your hat? I don't believe you ever went to a city council meeting without wearing a hat. So what happened to all your hats? They're still there. Okay. I think that gives us a clue. We have some representatives from the Historical Museum of Kent. I think we need a hat room. The Hogan Hat Room. Is that a good hint? Excellent. Well, again, sincerely, the value that you brought to this community that provided a strong base to continue to grow from. This is a very different Kent than it was when you became mayor. And it has grown with grace. It has grown with determination. It is built upon the legacy that you established. And if anything, when I came to Kent in 1975, because you had built a city that included a parks director named Barney Wilson, and that's what he stole me away from the city of Seattle. You were developing a city that I decided I wanted to call home. So Kent became my adopted home because of the efforts you put into it. And we who worked within the city truly were a mix-match family of folks with different talents, different ideas, different energies, and you had to keep us together on track. And by gum, you did an outstanding job. Hats off to you, Mayor Hogan, and please, if you and the family would come forward, we would like you to come up to the recognition now that is going to be placed prominently in renaming Russell Road Park, forever to be known as Hogan Park at Russell Road. Please come forward.
Oh my Lord. Oh. That's too much.
So it's bold. Like Mayor Hogan, it is bold.
Thank you, all of you. Thank you so much. Oh, this is overwhelming. I feel like I died and went to heaven, and you all were there ahead of me. Oh, dear. Oh, dear. Suzette, Mayor, but
Yeah.
not Suzette, Mayor, acknowledged a lot of things that half of them are true, not all of them. But this is overwhelming. I tried to make some notes about what I would say now, and man, it's overboard. I even asked Mike if he'd speak if I didn't come, and he didn't sound too enthusiastic about that. But then there's Lori taking pictures, and I want to acknowledge my immediate campaign crew for all three of these miserable things that we went through. Here's Barbara Hogan Lafayette, Carol Hogan Van Dongen. Where else?
Mike, get in here.
Mike Hogan.
Get in here.
Mike recently retired from Boeing, and now no fish is safe. He's out there all doing everything. Who else here? Am I missing somebody?
Judy.
Judy. This is the psychologist from Tucson. She flies up here on a notice of 5-minute notice. Something's going to happen. Oh, and there's my grandkids back there. Jim, come on, Jim, and what's her name? Lana. Oh, Lord, this is asking a lot of an old 93-year-old retread. And Barney Wilson, we wouldn't have been anywhere without you all these years.
We just want to, as a family, thank everybody for this honor. I can hardly speak, but somebody should speak from our family other than my mom and say how wonderful this really is. And for 93 years old, she's doing just wonderful. And this encouraged her to come out and see you guys. I mean, you were the driving force behind getting her today. And you put her back active in her life today. That's the other reason I can't talk. So thank you very much. And you guys, I know almost all of you from stories that she has told us, names that were repeated all the time. Miss Terry, Miss, Helen. Oh, of course, Barney, but, all the guys that have been up, it's just wonderful.
Skip Lori?
No. We got Lori. Lori's in the family, too.
I first met Lori. I think she was keeping score at some miserable game, and wasn't it here at Russell Park? And she was on, how many years have you worked for the city now?
33 full-time, but probably, I can't say how long. Usually 45, probably.
Well, oh dear. I just am so appreciative of all of you coming out at an ungodly hour at 10 o'clock in the morning. So this is what it looks like at 10 o'clock in the morning. Oh, dear. I just, I'm overwhelmed. My family's overwhelmed. You see your grandmother groveling here?
You're doing great, Mom.
Oh, dear. So many of you, they're good memories. Yvonne, what are you doing back there? You're part of the family. Oh, dear. And so many people. There's my fix-it man, Tracy Lafayette. He can fix anything. And John is back there. He's got a job where he can ride the train to Seattle. Carol finally got him on board. What else can I say that will make no sense at all? Oh, dear. You're all special for being here, and I certainly appreciate it.
All right, Mayor Hogan, in honor of her, for all of you, it's now time to play ball at Hogan Park at Russell Road.
I wanted to clear up one thing. I think it was here at Russell Road Park that you tried to play baseball and the roots from the trees came over and grew out of the grass. And I think that was one time that I permitted somebody to cut a tree. But they were invasive, the old trees. But you have to replace it. Yeah. All right, now you can all go do your thing.
Thank you so much for coming. One note, just so you know, this sign will be the welcome sign, the gateway sign that will go up above as you enter the threeplex to the fields. As you're leaving, please take a look at the park signs at the entrance there on Russell Road. Parks crews worked really hard, and I think you'll notice a change. New signs are up. Thank you very much.
My second day on the job, my office was adjacent to hers, and I didn't kind of like the artwork on the wall, the way it was positioned, so I moved it. And I didn't realize that she had picked it and set it. And she was so sweet. She came into my office and she said, well, I want you to know two things. One, I'm mayor. And two, you never touch my artwork in the hall. You know, and I almost fainted because I didn't know what to do. I was scared to death.
She was number one in my estimate. She was great for the city, and everything that I thought of, she made it happen. So she was good.
This is one of the major important things of my life that I ever done in these 78 years I've been here. Well, I've done a lot of things for my grandkids and a whole lot of stuff, but this is the best, is the best.
She deserves this. She deserves this so much, and it so speaks to who she is. It's strong, and as Mayor Cook pointed out, it's bold, and it's just Mayor Hogan.
Just the fact that she was so positive. I worked for Parks and Recreation for all those years, and she was so positive. If we needed something, we could talk to her, and she would talk to the council, and if she believed in it, she had to believe in it, she would make it happen.
She's just an amazing woman. Very commanding presence, but also very generous and caring, and a wonderful role model for women. So I don't know that she knows this, but she was an early mentor for me in my career with the city. So I'm really appreciative of that.
Well, as I mentioned, I was on the city council in the early 80s, and that was important in its own way to me. But much more important is the personal connection I've had to the Hogan family for well over 30 years now. And so I feel that I know Mayor Hogan really well, and I feel like this was a very well-deserved kind of an honor for her. And, you know, I won't kid you, I was a little teary myself as they unveiled that thing.
I worked on this 16 years trying to get this through, but I finally got it, and the good Lord can call me on in now. He can call me in. I'm 78 years old, so I got what I wanted done before I leave here, and I'm glad that she's happy we got it done. We kept it hidden from a long time, but we got it.